We are here at the Miles Through Time Auto Museum here in Clarkesville, Georgia. And today we're here going to look around and see what they have to show us. And it looks like a really neat place. And I'm just walking through the doors here to the museum. And it starts out, I guess, at the beginning with the old Model A Fords. And I happen to see a chart on the wall here. And it says the 1929 Ford Model T, the original price was $269 to $398. So things have changed a lot since then. This is a 1922 Model T, and sitting right beside of it is a 1924 Model T Coupe. It's not a lot of change between those couple of years there. And this one here is a 1915 Model T three-door Touring, and actually it looks pretty neat now. I like the way this looks. They've created like a little sidewalk down through here, what an old town would be with a bank and a general store. As you look inside the general store, I see some old coffee cans and one of the old antique cash registers, and they got some of the candy that, which years ago was probably penny candy. Here's a 1927 Roadster pickup sitting here, and the other one here is a 27 Chevrolet AA Touring. It says this is a 1930 Model A Coupe Deluxe, and looking at this car from the early 20s, it changed a lot in those 8 or 10 years. This is really a pretty car. I like the color that they have painted here. Here they've created a little soda shop and diner here, reminiscent of days gone by. This is a 1930 Chevrolet one-ton truck that they've got painted in some Coca-Cola colors here. Getting further in here, I see there's going to be too many cars for me to go through them one by one. So I'm just going to show you kind of like a broad scope of this. But this is really nice, really good collection in here. This is a 1930 Model A Woody, and these are great. And the wood, of course, has been restored, and that is just so nice. I just love looking at a car built out of wood. It's just so amazing to me. That's so cool. This one has a Georgia emblem on it. This is 1929. And this one, somebody says just got married, and it says 50 years ago down there in the heart. And it says the original price of this car was $490. Wow. Take a look at this 1927 Chrysler 70. That is a sharp car. That was really nice back in the day, I'm sure. But it's really nice now for that matter. They do have a miniature model of the the old steam locomotive that was used in what became known as the Great Locomotive Chase in North Georgia. And here's a Stanley steamer that has Oliver and Hardy, I think this is. This is a 1910 Studebaker. Here's an old Buick. It looks like, I don't know, I think this is a replica someone has built. Yeah, it says handcrafted by Gary O'Rustling. Now, if you like looking at scale model replicas of cars, They do have display cases throughout, and they told us when we came in through the entrance that they had thousands of the model cars in here. So just about anything that they make in a model car or the replicas, it looks like they probably have one. This is a 1935 Mathis, and it's a very pretty car that I'm not familiar with, but it says it was built in France, so that would explain why I don't recognize it. But I do notice that it has like a Ford style grille, and it slopes down at the front. See, I think they back up so you can see it. But this is really a pretty car. And as far as I know, this is the first time I've seen one, unless I saw it in a movie or something at some point in my life. I have some vintage pinball machines in here that they're displaying. And if you look around, there's actually uh, model airplanes and pedal cars up around the ceiling area, all type of advertisement. Uh, if you enjoy seeing old cars, this is a really good place to come. This is a 1927 white pickup. Here's a four-door 54 Buick Century, and it looks like a early 50s Ford sitting over here beside. Yeah, it's a 53 model Ford. Now this is a Ford Pinto station wagon hot rod, it looks like, and it looks like it has been lowered. That is definitely not the original engine. It is definitely set up for racing, but it says North Georgia Paint and Body Shop, and they have really worked this little Pinto over. It really looks good though. I like this car. The chairs that they've repainted back here, that's really nice. Now, this is a really old pedal car, and I don't think I've seen one quite this old before. It says very little is known about this toy, but most of the pedal cars I see are, of cars from around the 50s. So this is pretty unusual. This is a 1953 Packard, and it's a beautiful car, and it looks like it has original paint on it. I noticed some of it has kind of faded off, and what is here is cracking, which is something that you would see from cars from years ago, it seems like. And beside of it is a Studebaker Golden Hawk. These were very popular cars. I've seen these in a lot of places before, and I think this is a Avante. And Avante, if I'm not mistaken, that name was used by some other car companies other than Studebaker. I don't know if they bought the name when Studebaker went out of business or what, but I have seen that name on other brands before, it seems like. Show you some of these tag collection they have here. And again, there's new models. They have, like they told us, thousands and thousands of models. I think this is a car that Bill Elliott drove, and Dawsonville is maybe 20 something, 30 something miles from here, where Bill Elliott lives. But it was advertising the movie Batman Forever years ago. 81 DeLorean that was made famous by the movie Back to the Future, and the stainless steel car that everybody talked about years ago when it came out. This is a 1974 Brickland, which I always thought was really cool because of the wing doors. This one is in need of restoration, and this car has been donated to the museum, and you can go to the museum and donate to help contribute to restoring this car. And I don't know a lot about Bricklands, but it seems like they may have bought engines from Ford to go on their vehicles. I'm not sure. I see the distributor is in the front on this engine, uh, which I know, I'm pretty sure Ford's distributor is in the front, so I think it could be something from Ford Motor Company. Well, I think I said earlier they do have several motorcycles here. I see a Triumph, and there's an old Indian. Uh, oh, that's fantastic. I don't know if it's would be all original the way that it came, but it's really neat seeing that. And also they have another collection of old tricycles and pedal cars up here. They've got a lot of stuff to look at. I mean, a lot of stuff to look at. You could spend the day here, and I don't think you would see it all. But here's an old Honda. Let's see, is this an old 90 or yeah, Trail 90? Yeah, that's neat. They have a 2004 Volkswagen Beetle that is in really good condition. I mean, it's a pretty car for a Beetle, and a Carmen Ghia, which is also Volkswagen. And down here they have a BMW. Uh, I have driven some BMWs, and I think they drive really well. I love driving a BMW. And over here we have a row of Porsches. And if I'm not mistaken, the Volkswagen I just showed was actually designed by Porsche many, many years ago. But this is a 356, which I think is one of the ones that just became just really popular years ago, and they're still very popular today. I know there's a lot of shops around that used to restore these and probably still do. And here's more of their die-cast collection and models. They have so many. Here's a section donated to school buses, and I see airplanes. It looks like almost anything automotive related. I think those are actually Avon perfume and cologne bottles from years ago down there. They're shaped like a car. I may be completely wrong, but that's what it reminds me of. They have some little foreign cars here on the turntable display. I don't know anything about these cars right here, but it is good to see cars from other countries. Kind of broadens your perspective a little bit, but they are older cars, it looks like. This is a really pretty MG. Uh, I really like these cars. I just think they're a neat little car. It'd be something you kind of play around with. But I knew a lot of people years ago that just absolutely were fanatic about these cars. I mean, this couple I know owned several of them, and they just loved driving them. This is a really pretty one. A bicycle built for two, and it's actually advertising Eagle bus lines. And the phone number, it's very old because the phone number is 1890. So back then they didn't even have the area code. It's 1890 if you're in the area. This is a 58 Austin Haley. I don't know a lot about these. I have seen them before. But here's a Miata. Here's a Honda S2000. Uh, I think a lot of people had these and liked these cars back in the day. It's Honda's uh, little sports car back in the day. A 71 Fiat that looks like it's still in good condition. They're just little tiny, tiny cars. This might be what Chevy Tracer drove in the European vacation. I don't know. Here's a Mini Cooper that somebody's put a flame job on. They also have a military section over here that's displaying some old Jeeps. This one even still has a machine gun still mounted in the back of it. It says this is a 1942 Ford Script. Here's another Jeep. And it is actually Jeep. This one says Willis, I think, which is made by Jeep. And this right here is a 1944 Volkswagen. Let's see what this one right here is. This is very unusual looking. 1958 DKW, which I'm not familiar with at all, but are those Audi rings? I'm not sure. This is a 1944 Studebaker Weasel, which I see it's a track vehicle. And it also has a machine gun mounted atop. And this is just a car used by the military. It's a Chevrolet staff car, 1940, it says. Okay, I'm about to enter into the next room, and this will be where I really enjoy it because it looks like this is where they have the muscle cars. And muscle cars is what I like. I really like them a lot. Let's take a look at some of these. This is a 1968 Ford Shelby GT350. And it really looks good. I like the old style American mags on there. They got the red line tires. Of course, it's manual transmission. We have two American Motors AMX cars here. This orange one, let's see, I think it said it had 37,000 original miles. And these, I think, didn't have a back seat. I think maybe a Javelin did, but I'm no expert on that. But I really think these are pretty cars. This is 1970 Torino Super Cobra Jet. It does have the 429 engine in it. It has been restored. It looks really beautiful. The paint is really good. The interior looks great in it. And I noticed on notice how this body, the back panel sweeps down. You can tell this was made for racing, but I noticed the tag says drag pack, which I think you could get a drag package that would kind of beef up some of your suspension and maybe change the rear end that would normally come in the car. But it's really neat to see this. Here's a Buick GS, which stands for Grand Sport. It does have the 455 engine in it. You don't see a lot of these, but I like them. And next to it here is another Grand Sport. It's a convertible. And I have yet another Grand Sport right here. And yeah, you need to get over here to this miles through time because these are some really nice cars. There's a, let's see, 61 Plymouth Suburban wagon. And anyway, the name Suburban, I think most of you are probably familiar with it from Chevrolet. One of their uh, big SUV type vehicles are called a Suburban. But what gets me is back in the day, if you'll look here through the dash, you can see part of the instrument cluster is sticking up from the dash. And let's see if I can pick it up from looking inside the car. See how the speedometer just kind of sits up above the dash, and they were doing a lot of unique things back then. But I think this is a really neat part of the automotive history. And behind it is a Lincoln Premier, which is a pretty long car. It's really pretty though. It's very smooth lines. I really like that. And I think there's a Ford Comet. Is Ford or Mercury? Yes, Mercury, which is Ford still. And back behind that, I see there is a Cadillac. I think 59. And look at those fins. Those fins were huge back in the day. And I think in the movie American Graffiti, I'm not sure, but somebody can let me know in the comments. But I think in American Graffiti, the 58 Chevrolet that was driven by Ron Howard, I think they actually took these taillights and incorporated them into the back of that car, but I'm not sure. And here's a 74 Super Duty Trans Am. It has the 455 engine in it, and that is a really pretty car. I actually had what was it? I had a 79 Trans Am, which they had started losing some power by then, but I still enjoyed driving the car. And while you're watching this, if you don't mind, our name of our channel is Nations Travel. Could you please subscribe to us so I can bring you more content like this? Because I really don't want you to miss anything. And here's a 71 Pontiac Grand Prix SJ. I had one like this, but mine was a J. It had the 400 engine. I think this one will have the 455 engine. But I was in my late teens driving this, and it's a huge car, but it was really pretty fast. While I'm on this Grand Prix, let me tell you, when these cars were new, these were the original type wheels, but the lug nuts were actually lug nuts that had chrome caps that went over top of them, and they stripped off terribly. And I remember sitting on the side of the road one time trying to get my tire off where I had a flat tire, and I couldn't because of the way the lug nuts were designed. Here's a 61 Chevrolet Corvette. It's kind of a burgundy colored red with a white cove. Uh, this one's really in good condition. And sitting right next to it is a 63 Corvette. And let me see if I can back up to get both in the picture here. From 61 to 63, the cars changed a lot. They got these hideaway headlights, which have stayed with the car. But this is a 63, and I think they call these the washboard hoods because of those designs that are in it. It does look like it has the spinner knockoff wheels. This one is a 64. And it's a really pretty car. And right beside of it is a 72. And again, the car's changed a lot. The car got a lot wider, got a lot more flared fenders in 72. But I really like this body style, which I think started in 68. But that's a really pretty car. And I wanted one of these so bad when I was a teenager. Never got it, but still, I wanted one. Here's a 1980 Jeep CJ5. And beside it is an International Scout. I had a friend when I was in my late teens, early 20s, that owned about 5 or 6 of these throughout the years, and he would buy them and wind up selling it, and then he'd buy another one, but he absolutely loved these vehicles. And here's a really clean 1995 Ford F-150. It's a pretty base model, four-wheel drive, but somebody's taking really good care of it. And here is a 86 Ford LTD taxi cab. Here's a really good example of a 65 Ford Falcon. These are just small cars, but they look really good. This red with the white trim going through the chrome really looks good. And what's so special about these cars is I'm pretty sure that the Ford Mustang, when they were introduced, were actually based off of this chassis, if I'm not mistaken. But this one is really good and clean, really good paint, really good interior. It is a nice, nice car. There's a 64 Chevrolet Chevelle from Malibu, and somebody has dropped an LS engine down in here, and I bet it really pulls this car down the road pretty well. But yeah, they've done a lot of work to this car, made it really nice. Got nice leather interior, built a custom console for it. It's really, really a nice looking car. I usually don't like a beige type color on a car that much, but this one, it really looks good in this color. Here's a really nice 2005 Ford Mustang GT convertible, and somebody has put a lot of money into this to upgrade it. They did a fabulous job. It looks really, really good. Uh, love the wheels, love the color, hood vents, everything. Looks like they put racing seats in here. I have a Carroll Shelby stitched into the headrest here. I guess it's a tribute to him. But this is a really nice 2005 Mustang. Let me see if I can get the back here. Yeah, it looks really, really good. Right beside it is a 2006 Mustang GTH. It is a Shelby Mustang, but I'm pretty sure the H stands for, well, yeah, the H stands for Hertz, because they've actually got a Hertz emblem on the car. And you can actually rent these cars from Hertz. I think they have a what they call a performance line or something that you can request, and you can rent one of these things and drive it if you want to drive a Shelby Mustang, or at least you could back in the day. But I think even still today, they do have some sports cars that you can request to rent. We have a 2007 Mustang Shelby GT, and beside it is a 2022 Shelby Mustang. It's a GT 350 or 500. It's a 500, but notice how much they've changed again in 15 years. Uh, they've came a long way. Both are very beautiful cars. I've never driven one of these GT 500s, but they say they're just awesome. So maybe I'll get the opportunity someday to drive one of these. Of course, it has the Shelby Cobra on the side and stitched into the seats here. Got the huge wing spoiler on back. These are really beautiful cars. This is a 67 GT 500 Shelby Mustang, and it was when it was brand new, it cost $41.95, and I'll give them their money back if they would sell it to me for that today. Gladly. Now, there's a lot here today that I haven't been able to show, and I'm going to try to just kind of scan through one of the rooms I'm in here. But if you're ever in North Georgia in this area and you've got some time, you really need to stop by and visit, because they've got a lot of really nice cars here. One thing that is missing, though, I haven't seen a Camaro that I can remember, and I do like Camaros, but they've got plenty of other vehicles to choose from. Well, we're leaving the museum now, and on the outside, I thought I'd show you what it looked like as we came in. They've actually made a fountain out of early 50s, I think, or very late 40s truck. I think it's early 50s. But they made a fountain here with it. It's really pretty appropriate for an old car museum. But amazed me about this truck is look how long the bed is on this truck. I didn't realize they made them that long back in the day, but this one apparently is, and this one has seen better days. A lot of rust in it, but the seat was updated at some point in time. But yeah, that one's in pretty rough shape. And this car here, I'm not familiar with this car. It's a Nash, which I'm familiar with the name Nash, but you just don't see these old cars like this. I think they may have been the ones that made the little Metropolitans, the little small cars. But anyway, that's the display out here on front. And there's also a old bus over here I'm gonna go take a look at. This old school bus that I don't really know how to describe it. Maybe it'd be best for me just let you look at it and see what it looks like, because I don't really have a good description for this bus. The doors are off, so I guess you're welcome to look inside, which I am here. But yeah, it's pretty interesting. Here's a look in the back of the bus here. It's definitely decorated up, no doubt. Yeah, it looks like there might be a platform up on top. I don't know if at one time it was maybe a spectator bus or something, but it has new tires on it, I noticed, so that's interesting. But anyway, there's some fire trucks down here that they've got sitting out, a little bit older, and I see there's also an airplane down here at the end. Well, that's our trip for today through the Miles Through Time Automotive Museum. Again, if you're ever up here in North Georgia, around Clarkesville, I recommend you stop in. And again, if you don't mind, if you would click that like button and subscribe, we would greatly appreciate it. And we'll see you in the next video. Thanks. Bye.